So for those of you who have been watching my videos, you know very well that the Jews, without any doubt, are the biggest players of the conspiracy. However, there are more white people than Jews involved in the Great Conspiracy. But the Jews are the main ones in charge of it for the most part. Well, when comparing the Sephardim, from Spain and Portugal, etc., to the ashkeNAZI, it appears that the ashkeNAZI are the more ultra-Orthodox, the more Zionist, the more extreme, but they are bringing their Sephardim compatriots in Israel with them. You see, when the Moors invaded, the Jews helped them out in many cases. They kept some gates closed to the Spanish, and they opened the gates for the Moors. And the Moors' armies, in some cases, their guards, etc., consisted of some Jews, which is quite confusing, and I'm sure it's one of those little known facts in history people don't talk about much. When you think about the history of the Moorish invasion of Spain, the history of Spain, the history of the Sephardim in Spain, the fact that the Jews assisted the Muslims, the Moors, the Arabs, the Berbers, in some cases, probably doesn't come to mind right away. Especially when you consider what's going on in Israel and what's in the Quran and whatnot. But you see, during the golden age of the Moor invasion, the Sephardim actually were at their highest point in Spanish history. Definitely prior to the 1500s. They were expelled by Queen Isabella. I'll check that before this video is over. In 1492. Before that, they were given high taxes. Some of their agriculture, I believe in wine, they were taxed to 20-25%. They were given three choices, basically, at one point when the deadline was given to them. They were either convert to Catholicism, they would emigrate out of the country, be expelled, or they would face death without trial. There was massacres, but there was also a Muslim massacre. I believe 4,000 people were killed when some radical Muslims, will say, from North Africa migrated into Spain, and they didn't, they wanted to push Islam, which was the original intent of invading Spain in the first place. And they said, they weren't with the holding hands with the Jews. They were with the, expansion of Islam by any means necessary. Some of the Muslims were with the idea that in our caliph, we will include Jews and they'll just pay more taxes. So, there was Jews in Castile and Aragon in Spain, and the Sephardim spoke Ladino. And I was looking into whether Ladino was connected to Latino. I didn't get that far. If I care, I'll look into it more and I'll put it in the comments. But it's basically a mixture of Roman, Hebrew, and some other stuff. And old Castilian, which is an old form of Spanish. Okay, so what do I learn about the history of the Sephardim? That with my research today, I was really looking for reasons that connects them to conspiracy. And, I think I'm not too satisfied with what I've learned. It's hard to find really reliable information, So, they were basically categorized as the dhimmis, for people, all people, including pagans of non-Muslim faiths. After the victory of Tariq ibn Ziyad in 711, you have a history of, Moors conquering Spain, demanding tributes. I believe it was 100 virgins a month. I think I covered this years ago when I spoke about the Moor invasion of Spain, and how the army, was very much Arab, Berber, and some black African natives. Some people will say that these people were just the slaves who were brought with them, over the Strait of Gibraltar when the Moors, burned their ships and invaded Spain. I mean, what you have here, I can't help but think, especially when I heard that, when I read that these people were descendants of Levi and other people in Judah. I said, Judah, that's interesting. Because you would think that the tribe of Judah would be the mightiest tribe, right? That's how the Bible wants you to think of it. But here I am cleaning the fucking tables with a guy, I'm the top martial artist, not no one from the tribe of Judah. I'm the top martial artist in America. And do you think that no Spanish Jews, just look up the history of crypto Jews in Mexico, none of them can beat me. I cleaned the table, they had to cheat me just to get 1 point. Other than that, it was 10-0. The Jews, God's chosen people. They haven't had a champion since what, the 1930s, before blacks were really allowed to participate in boxing, and certainly before they took it on, as a sport that they saw that they had a viable chance in, getting recognition for. I mean, all of this is just deeply saddening. And I've also read, I didn't read it on this, I read it in my Talmudic research, where it said that these people, a certain sect of the Jews, believed that they were the priest class of Egypt. And I was just shocked, shocked. You're the priest class of Egypt? But you said that you were taken as captives into Egypt for 400 years, ending with Ramses the Great. Now, if you add the time of Ramses the Great, what was it, 1200, BCE, around there, something like that. I'll look it up before this is over. And you add 400 years to that, what is that, 1600 BCE? I think I might be off. Let me just look this up real quick. Ramses the Great, I think it was 1291 or so. Yeah. He was born around 1303 BC, died 1213 BC. Okay, so you take the date of Ramses the Great, like I said, around 1200 BCE or something, and you add 400 years to it, 1600 BCE, right? 1600 BCE is when you're taken captive in Egypt, but you think that you're the priest class, when before that, by your own words, by your own history, by your own religion, you were somewhere else. So how were you the priest class of Egypt? No matter how you look at it, you're taking credit from Egypt. Even if, whether you look at it from, you took ideas from Babylon, or, you're spreading this satanic ideology from Babylon, and they got their ideas from Egypt. Egypt predates Babylon by fucking thousands of years, So, and before Babylon was Sumeria, Sumer. And Sumer is predated by Egypt, And if you're going to talk about civilizations, well, first you have to define, because we all know how far back the Nubian civilization goes, Kush. So regardless how you look at it, you are not the chosen of God. You are some hand-me-down bitches who betrayed Christ. You're people who are delusional. The irony of you people being in charge of psychiatry for the most part, and talking about, these gang stalkers, these people who are complaining of gang stalking are suffering from persecutory delusions. If you just look at the history of Spain alone, you look at the history of Germany, everywhere I've looked for the reason why the Jews were persecuted, it was always for a good reason. Yes, the Jews were the fucking main people pushing communism. Lenin, the father of the fucking communist revolution. Marx, the father of communism. Trotsky, Some people say, well, Stalin had Trotsky killed. Yeah, because when you have a conspiracy of a bunch of madmen, sometimes, usually, one of them wants all the power for themselves and goes after the other conspirators who are the people who are, contesting their power the most. Did not the Jews fund Hitler before he went to power? And then he became a madman, so to speak, if you want to look at it that way, who started going after the Jews because guess who contested his place the most? The Jews, he called it the Judeo-Bolshevik conspiracy, the Judeo-Bolshevik threat to Germany. That's why he invaded Russia and broke the non-aggression pact that he signed with Stalin. Only because the West failed to reach an agreement with Stalin that he found satisfactory, I might add. And then in Spain, they helped the Muslims, and they fucking were conspiring, so they started making them wear badges, 400 years or so before World War II. Almost 400 years before World War fucking II. How's that for your 400-year number? You're wearing badges in Spain. Yellow badges. To identify for your own safety. That was the reason it was given. Because you helped the Muslim invaders. And it was the same thing it was the same thing with the massacre of the Armenians. By the Turks. Because what did they do? They were sabotaging the fucking bridges and stuff. I believe during World War I, there was a threat there. A threat followed by persecution. I wonder. So you have this delusion that you're being mistreated. You're being persecuted unfairly. And then you accuse the targeted individuals of claiming to be persecuted unfairly when they're not persecuted. But they are persecuted unfairly. You were persecuted fairly. All throughout history. Because you were traitors. You were Babylonian scum. And you always, always, always elevated your people above the other people. So when you invaded Canaan and justified it with religious, whatever you want to call it, reasoning, it's okay. It's okay to kill the Amorites, the Hittites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, etc., etc. Because you said it's okay according to your religion. The same reason you're killing the Palestinians. So when you kill people, it's perfectly okay. When you conspire against the world, it's perfectly okay. But when people expel you from their country because of your conspiracy, you're being persecuted unfairly. Oh, I'm touched. My heart is broken. No, you want to speak about heartbreak, you punk-ass motherfucker. Remember in high school when you had me guess the race of your daughter, and I didn't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Because you're a bunch of crypto fucking Jews hiding your race half the fucking time. But now I have an answer for you. Sephardi Jew. Spanish Jew. I can't believe that all my anger at Latinos during those days, which seemed to be justified with the prison race wars, stemmed and began truly was put to the forefront of my anger because of what I perceived as a Hispanic or Latina female breaking my heart. And all these years later, as I search for the meaning of her name all over again, it truly hits me. This is a hook-nosed fucking person. She's a Jew. You people have conspired against me for my fucking life, and my worst heartbreak was by a Jew? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? The more I look into you people, the more my stomach turns at the vile sewage that I am faced with. That I cleared the fucking lawn with. 10-0, 10-1. And if you ghastly demons have a problem with anything I've said, tonight is the time to strike, or forever hold your silence, you cowards.